How do I start a saltwater aquarium? Setting up a simple saltwater aquarium is easier than it has ever been. If your goal is to have a pair of clownfish in your home and you're just as happy using faux coral decorations, then it's going to be no more difficult than setting up a freshwater aquarium. If you do want to keep corals, anemones, and maybe other types of reef fish as well, I'm going to touch on that in just a little bit. Today, I'll go over the list of what you'll need to get a saltwater tank started and the basic steps of putting it all together so you can get a really good idea of how simple this can be. First, you'll need a glass or acrylic tank, some basic filtration like a hang-on power filter, a heater to keep the tank warm, some aragonite or crushed coral substrate for the bottom, some live or dry calcium carbonate reef rock for creating your aquascape, and a basic LED aquarium light to illuminate your little slice of the ocean. Since it is a saltwater aquarium, you'll also need some synthetic sea salt and a refractometer or glass hydrometer to measure how much salt is in the water. For that pair of common clownfish, a 20-gallon aquarium is a great size that gives them enough room to grow while also being a very manageable size in terms of maintenance. Next, pick a place in your home for that aquarium that gets a lot of traffic. There's no sense in sticking it in a room that nobody uses. You're going to want to put it somewhere that people generally hang out in your home so that everybody can appreciate it. Also, do your best to avoid direct sunlight from windows, since sunlight has a bad habit of fueling algae growth, and while it isn't usually harmful, it can get pretty unsightly. If the perfect spot in your home happens to be near a window, a set of blinds or curtains work really well to keep that sunlight off the tank. Once the tank is in place, use a level to make sure the tank is perfectly level front to back and side to side. If it isn't, you can use some simple shims underneath the stand to level it. Having a level tank is a must. Water weighs a whole lot, and if the tank isn't level, the pressure on the glass will be uneven, which can affect the longevity of the aquarium itself. You can then place your filter and heater inside of the tank, and then the substrate, and then the rock. If you did find yourself some nice faux coral decorations, you can add those in too. Next, you can mix up your saltwater using filtered reverse osmosis water that you make at home or buy from a local water depot. A 5-gallon pail works really well for this. A small pump and a spare heater in the bucket is going to help mix it up thoroughly while also bringing the water to the correct temperature, which is right around 76 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Follow the directions on the salt packaging for how much to add, and after the recommended mixing time, check the salinity of the water using a refractometer or a glass hydrometer. You can then adjust the salinity if you need to, using more reverse osmosis water if the salinity is too high, or by adding more salt if it's too low. You can then slowly add that salt water to the aquarium. Usually pouring it over the rocks is best, nice and slow. If you pour it directly into the substrate, it's going to blow it all around, which can make the tank a little bit cloudy and just kind of make a mess in there. So be patient, do it nice and slow, and fill that tank up. Once the tank's full, you can plug in your filter and your heater to get them running. You can then add in some beneficial bacteria as well to help start that nitrogen cycle, which will help prepare the tank for your first fish. Now, if your goal is to also have some live corals or an anemone, along with other interesting inverts like ornamental shrimp or crabs and clams, there is a bit more to it, and you'll definitely want to check out our 5-minute guide series on setting up your first saltwater reef aquarium by clicking right here. We go through everything from what tanks you should start with, to the equipment, to the types of corals and fish that are best for beginners, as well as all of the things you're going to need to do to keep them alive and happy and healthy in 5-minute chunks, so it's easy to absorb. You're not going to feel like you're in a lecture. It's not like that. It's tons of fun. Have a watch.